So our next witness, as we just heard, is going to be joining us remotely. It's Mr. Slahi. He's going to describe his experiences being rendered and detained. He is also the author of the book Guantanamo Diaries, which I highly recommend.
Is it universal and individual torture?
No.
Hello. Hello, Mohamedou.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to show you, I'm going to turn the camera in a moment here to our commissioners, and I'll show you the audience you're speaking to. And then we'll let you give your testimony and then take questions. So here's the commissioners. If you'd all like to wave. And here's our audience, just so you know the crowd you're speaking to. So you can see we got a great turnout and a lot of support, and we're also very grateful to hear your testimony. So without further ado, please give your testimony directed at the commissioners.
Yeah. So we are ready anytime you are. We're listening.
Okay. My name is Mohamedou Slahi. On the 28th of November of 2001, I was kidnapped from my home, Mauritania, Nouakchott, in Africa. And my government, the policeman who headed the committee who arrested me, came to me. It was in Ramadan then, the holy month, and I was very sick. I was then hypotensive, and I couldn't sit or stand because the condition in the prison were very bad, and I just felt sick. And they brought a doctor. He helped me, gave me some medication. And about, I would say, 4 p.m., that's very vague time, but it's very close. The director came to me and he said, "We will send you to Jordan." It's like someone coming to you in the early morning. You wake up 7:10 a.m. and then they tell you, "You are the president of the United States of America." Except it's the other way around. You are really screwed up in a way. I said, "What do I have to do with Jordan?" That doesn't make no sense. I am not a Jordanian citizen. I've never been in Jordan. And as far as I'm concerned, Jordan has no interest in me whatsoever. They told me that what the United States of America told us. Because I was in a prison before Guantanamo Bay was opened, I had no clue about Guantanamo Bay, about the kidnapping and rendition of people. So I said, "Look, I'm ready to go to the United States. So if I have problem with them, you turn me over to the United States." Again, they told me the United States does not want you in the country. They want to send you to Jordan. And so I was, of course, very scared. I tried to negotiate. I told him I want to meet the president. He said, "No, you cannot meet the president." I'm not joking. That really happened. And so they took me, and we were at the airport at about 7 p.m., close to 7 p.m. or past 7 p.m. And there I was taken in a plane that was filled with 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 people beside me. I was the 7th person. And all people on the plane, as far as I'm concerned, were Jordanians. I stayed in Jordan for 8 months. And so a little bit to go back, I told them, I asked about the crimes I'm committed. They said the United States accused you of two things. First, Millennium Plot, and two, you know where your cousin is. So I remind you of that a far cousin of mine used to work for UBL, the late Osama bin Laden. So my first job is to admit that I was involved in the infamous Millennium Plot, and two, I have to show them where my cousin is. And those are two things that I had nothing to do with. I was not part of Millennium Plot, as the facts and the investigation later on show. And even my cousin, whom they sought to arrest, was not even involved in 9/11, let alone me, who was rendered to Jordan to show them where my cousin was. I stayed in Jordan for 8 months under interrogation and mistreatment, heavy mistreatment. And on the 19th of, let me see the date, on the 19th of July of 2002, at around 10 p.m., I was rendered to the United States of America at the Jordanian airport. And let me read to you what I wrote about this. The music was off, the conversation of the guards faded away, the truck emptied. I felt alone in the hearse truck. The waiting didn't last. I felt the presence of no people, a silent thing. I don't remember a single word during the whole rendition to follow. A person was undoing the chains on my wrists. He undid the first hand, and another guy grabbed that hand and bent it while a third person was putting on the new, firmer and heavier shackles. Now my hands were shackled in front of me. Somebody started to rip my clothes with something like a pair of scissors. I was like, what the heck is going on? I started to worry about the trip I neither want nor initiated. Somebody else was deciding everything for me. I had all worries in the world but making a decision. Many thoughts went quickly through my head. The optimistic thoughts suggested maybe you're in the hands of the Americans, but don't worry. They just want to take you home and to make sure that everything goes in secrecy. The pessimistic ones went, you screwed up. The Americans managed to pin some shit on you, and they're taking you to U.S. prisons for the rest of your life. I was naked. I was humiliated. It was humiliating, but the blindfold helped me miss the nasty look of my naked body. During the whole procedure, the only prayer I could remember was the crisis prayer, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum. And I was mumbling it all the time. Whenever I came to be in a similar situation, I would forget all my prayers, except the crisis prayer, which I learned from life of our Prophet, peace be upon him. One of the team wrapped a diaper around my private parts. Only then was I dead sure that the plane was heading to the US. Now I started to convince myself that everything's gonna be all right. My only worry was about my family seeing me on TV in such a degrading situation. I was so skinny. I've been always, but never that skinny. My street clothes had become so loose that I looked like a small cat in a big bag. The US team finished putting me in the clothes they tailored for me. A guy removed my blindfold for a moment. I couldn't see much because he directed the flashlight to my eyes. He was wrapped from head to toe in black uniform. He opened his mouth and stuck his tongue out, gesturing for me to do the same. A kind of yes, which I took without resistance. I saw part of his very pale blonde-haired arm, which cemented my theory of being in Uncle Sam's hands. The blindfold was pushed down. The whole time I was listening to loud plane engines. I very much believe that some planes were landing and others taking off. I felt my special plane approaching or the truck approaching the plane. I don't recall anymore which one. But I do recall that when the escort grabbed me from there was no space between the truck and the airplane stairs. I was so exhausted, sick, and tired that I couldn't walk, which compelled the escort to pull me up the steps like a dead body. Inside the plane, I was very cold. I was laid on a sofa, and the guards shackled me, most likely to the floor. I felt a blanket put over me. Though very thin, it comforted me. I relaxed and gave myself to my dreams. I was thinking about different members of my family I would never see again. How sad would they be? I was crying silently and without tears. For some reason, I gave all my tears at the beginning of the expedition, which was like the boundary between death and life. I wished I were better to people. I wished I were better to my family. I regretted every mistake I made in my life, toward God, toward my family, toward anybody. I was thinking about life in an American prison. I was thinking about documentaries I had seen about their prisons and the harshness with which they treat their prisoners. I wished I were blind or had some kind of handicap so they would put me in isolation and give me some kind of humane treatment and protection. I was thinking, what will the first hearing with the judge be like? Do I have a chance to get due process in a country full of hatred against Muslims? Am I really already convicted even before I get the chance to defend myself? I drowned in these painful dreams in the warmth of the blanket. Every once in a while, the pain of the urine urge pinched me. The diaper didn't work for me. I could not convince my brain to give the signal to my bladder. The harder I tried, the firmer my brain became. The guard beside me kept putting water bottle caps in my mouth, which worsened my situation. There was no refusing it. Either you swallow or you choke. Lying on one side was killing me beyond belief, but every attempt to change my position ended in failure, for a strong hand pushed me back to the same position. I could tell that the plane was a big jet, which led me to believe that flight was direct to the US. But after about 5 hours, the plane started to lose altitude and smoothly hit the runway. I realized the US is a little bit farther than that. Where are we? In Ramstein, Germany? Yes, Ramstein is. In Ramstein, there is a US military airport for transiting planes from the Middle East. We're going to stop here for fuel. But as soon as the plane landed, the guards started to change my metal chains for plastic that cut my ankles painfully on the short walk to a helicopter. On one of the guards, while pulling me out of the plane, tapped me on the shoulder as if to say, "You're gonna be all right." As in agony as I was, that gesture gave me hope that there will still some human beings among the people who were dealing with me. When the sun hit me, the questions popped again. Where am I? Yes, Germany it is. It was July and the sun rises early. But why Germany? I had done no crimes in Germany. What should they pull on me? And yet the German legal system was by far a better choice for me. I know the procedure and I speak the language. Moreover, the German system is somewhat transparent and there are no 200 and 300 years sentences. I had little to worry about. A German judge will face me and show me whatever the government has brought against me. And then I'm going to be sent to a temporary jail until my case is decided. I won't be subjected to torture, and I won't have to see the evil faces of interrogators. After about 10 minutes, the helicopter landed and I was taken into a truck with cars on either side. The chauffeur and his neighbor were talking in a language I had never heard before. I thought, what the heck are they speaking? Maybe Filipino. I thought of the Philippines because I'm aware of the huge US military presence there. Oh yes, Philippines it is. They conspired with the US and pulled some shit on me. What would the questions of their judge be? By now, though, I just wanted to arrive and take a pee. And after that, they can do whatever they please. Please let me arrive, I thought. After that, you may kill me. The guards pulled me out of the truck after a 5-minute drive, and it felt as if they put me in a hole. They forced me to kneel and bent my head down. I should remain in that position until they grabbed me. They yelled, "Do not move." Before worrying about anything else, I took my most remarkable urine since I was born. It was such a relief. I felt I was released and sent back home. All of a sudden, my worries faded away and I smiled inside. Nobody noticed that I did. About a quarter of an hour later, some guards pulled me and towed me to a room where they obviously had processed many detainees. And there's stopped the story of the plane that took me from Jordan airport to what it turned to be a Bagram Air Base, as I learned later. And give the word back to you.
Thank you so much, Mohamedou, for your really, really brave and powerful testimony. Now I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners to ask a few questions to you. Oh, sorry. I was saying, thank you so much for your really brave and powerful testimony. And I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners now to ask you a few questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Slahi. Do commissioners have questions first? And if members of the audience could pass any questions up, we would love to receive them.
Yes. Yeah, quick question.
Yes, Commissioner Kerr.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your important words. I wonder if you could just talk about when you first realized that what were the elements that made you first realize that you were in American custody? Was that something that you were told, or that you pieced together from the bits of experience that you had?
Thank you very much for the question. So when I was kidnapped from my country, I was kidnapped by a Jordanian crew, and their SOP, that is Standard Operation Procedure, differed greatly from that of the team that picked me up from Jordan. And as I described, I couldn't see anything because I was blindfolded. But number one, I was not stripped of my clothes. Number two, I was not diapered. And number three, I was not medically tested. Number four, when the person took off my mask, very little, just to show me how to stick out my tongue, I saw his arm, and it was very pale blonde, which showed me that he did not live in the Middle East because of the sun that make people a little bit darker. But that is not really, that's just indication, because you could from there and still very pale, even blonde. And but when I landed in Bagram Air Base, again the idea that I was taken by American forces, whatever kind of forces that I don't know. So the idea again was cemented that it was an American team.
Yeah, Germana?
Thank you very much for your testimony. Could you talk to us a little bit about how your family, your community has perceived this? I mean, what kind of things have gone through their minds that they've shared with you about the United States, about this program, about what you went through?
My family are just like me, very basic people. So we grew up in a military dictatorship, and so we know that whatever the government says is right. Government is always right. There is no accountability to the government, and I mean no accountability to the people. That's what I want to say, by the government. And so people started to live with the fact that the United States is a very powerful country and they can do whatever they want. So the prayer in the mosque and in the family is that you are just invisible to the United States of America. That's your only hope. That they don't see you, they don't know who you are. Because if they know who you are, they may kidnap you anytime they wish. And they don't need to have any evidence. Absolutely none whatsoever.
Mr. Slahi, thank you for testifying, and I want to read a comment from one of the audience members, which says the following: "Many of us here are living in North Carolina. We are immensely grateful for your courage and your willingness to testify." And I also have a question for you, Mr. Slahi. I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what you would like to see our commission recommend. What is your hope that comes out of this particular commission?
The first thing I would like to say is that I would like to thank you wholeheartedly, the people of North Carolina. Thank you very much for standing to people who cannot stand up to themselves, for themselves. In Mauritania, we have no say to your government. We don't elect your government, and we don't unseat them. But if you elect them, we have to face the consequences of their actions, and they have no accountability toward us. And you standing up to this very powerful individual that have been acting outside the law, showing complete disrespect to the to human rights and to the rule of law, it's really very brave thing. And I was thinking, talking to you, wow, those people are really aiming very high. Who's going to take those people down? You know, this is almost like, I said, okay, I'm going there, but you know, I have to be optimistic. You know, and the problem, this unholy marriage, look, there is an unholy marriage between your Securitas apparatus. I call it Securitas. Securitas is the old Romanian intelligence service that tortured, disappeared, kidnapped, and killed people in Romania before the democratic revolution. So that's why I call this Securitas apparatus of the United States. This unholy marriage between them and dictatorships in this region, this everlasting love relationship, is just something that has to be broken. This has to be broken. This has to stop. You know, those people, they give them money to violate our rights. They give them money to disappear us. You know, I was like thinking, your president today, I say this only because it's very relevant to this. Your president yesterday made some tweets, inflammatory tweet against Muslim. And so it's very clear that he doesn't love us, and I'm fine with that. But the question that keeps coming to my head, so Muslims are bad, is a given. I'm not crazy about myself either. But why is this love relationship between the most unsavory dictators and the human rights violator, between your president and them, and those Muslim dictators? Why he loves them so much? So on the one hand, he hates Muslim, but he loves dictators, Muslim or Muslim dictators. Why? Just answer me this question, and then I'll be on my way.
Mr. Slahi, let me follow up on Commissioner Daskell's question about what the commission might be able to do. You know, we don't have the power to lock anybody up. We don't have the power to order people to pay you money for what was done to you. But we can make findings. We can issue a report. We can call for action. And I'm wondering if there is something that would be meaningful to you. For example, if we were able to persuade the government to apologize to you, or the individuals who participated in this to issue an apology, would that have any value for you?
Commissioner, thank you very much for this question. I want much less than that, much less. I want them to let me be. I am still imprisoned by the United States of America. They denied me my passport. They denied me my medical treatment. I cannot go seek my medical treatment because the United States government said we do not accept you to go there. They don't want me to go to other countries and talk about this experience. They want me to raise awareness. I have so many people. Part of my families are in Europe. They live. My brother is German, and I want to go there and meet people and seek medical treatment and just go about my life. That is denied so far. You know, I'm more than 1 year, and I really, they can keep the apology. I mean, I just want to pick up the pieces, and just because you violate my rights for so many years, 16 years, you went to violate my rights some more. And what I wish for, that the people of the United States of America that I truly love, because of so many reasons, I want them to understand that there are consequences of the people to us. I mean, immediate consequences to us when they elect somebody. When you elect somebody, we have to feel the heat right away. You may wait 1 year, 2 years, but we feel the heat right away the day after your election. And we want to keep them on a leash. That's all we want.
Thank you very much. Are there other questions from commissioners?
I do have one more.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Mr. Kirk.
Thank you. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about what sort of health effects you are still feeling from your time in custody. I know you were there for a long time, and when you talk about your medical condition or your health condition or your psychological effects, if you could, I hate to ask this, but it's a little intimate, but I wonder if you could talk to us about the kind of challenges that you're dealing with now as a result of everything that happened.
You know, ever since my release, I could never have a good night's sleep. I have so much pain. You know, I had an operation in Guantanamo Bay to remove my gallbladder. The gallbladder was gone, but the pain remained as it was. And doctors, Navy doctors, and I thank them. I use this forum to thank them very much. They tried to help me, but they couldn't help me. And they want to give me some more tests. But I said, I want to go home and then seek medical treatment, you know, where is more transparency, where I could talk to doctors and I'm not afraid. And I have sciatic nerve that was exacerbated by torture and beating. And I have hypertension that I developed in prison during my detention. And I have night terror. Every time I could sleep, I find myself back in the same cell. I ask myself why and who brought me here, and things of this sort. And it's like every month, like every month, 1 or 2 months, including last week, I fall ill, and I have to take so many medication to go back to normal, and that's completely interfering with my life. And you have in the audience you have Dr. Kate Porter, who knows about my case and knows about my efforts. And there are other things that I cannot talk about in this forum.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Slahi, for taking the time to speak with us today. We are very grateful for your time and your thoughtful comments. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mohamedou. It means a lot that you testified today, and we're all so, so very grateful. And we're going to end your testimony now and bring on another survivor. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me, and good luck.
Thanks. Come. Yeah. Thank you, Mohamedou.